From Washington, this is VOA News. Still differences to discuss over Iranian's nuclear program. And in Somalia, 6 are killed in a car bombing in Mogadishu. I'm Vincent Bruce reporting from Washington. In Geneva Friday, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said diplomats are working to see if they can narrow some differences with Iran over its disputed nuclear program.
I don't think anybody should mistake that there are some important gaps that have to be closed.
Kerry spoke shortly after arriving in Geneva to join the talks. Diplomatic sources say Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will join his Western counterparts in Geneva Saturday to try to secure a deal over Iran's disputed nuclear program. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov told reporters in Moscow on Friday that Russia favors a solution that recognizes Iran's right to have a peaceful nuclear program and enrich uranium under the watch of the International Atomic Energy Agency. In Washington, President Barack Obama said the deal being discussed would offer modest relief from the economic sanctions on Iran, but that most would stay in place.
We can provide them some very modest relief, but keeping the sanctions architecture in place, keeping the core sanctions in place.
Police in Somalia say a suspected car bomb has exploded outside a hotel in Mogadishu, killing at least 6 people. Witnesses say a suicide bomber drove a car packed with explosives Friday to the gate of the Maka al-Mukara hotel, which is popular with Somali officials, in central Mogadishu. A government spokesman told a VOA Somali service that at least 15 people were wounded, including a member of the Somali parliament. Reports say another explosion was heard in the same area shortly before the attack. There's been no immediate claim of responsibility for the blasts. Further details at voanews.com. A new report before the U.S. Congress says Afghan soldiers and police will require more support to sustain the gains made by NATO forces during a troop surge 2 years ago. In the report, according to U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel, there's been a fundamental shift in the fighting in Afghanistan, with Afghan forces now holding 95% of the conventional operations and 98% of special operations. However, the report also says when the NATO mission in Afghanistan concludes at the end of 2014, Afghan forces will be at high risk unless they receive continued aid and advice from the international community and the international coalition. President Barack Obama traveled to New Orleans, Louisiana, to speak about continuing challenges to U.S. economic growth. With the Port of New Orleans as a backdrop, Mr. Obama returned to favorite themes to underscore economic successes and remaining challenges to the economy. Successes include 7.8 million jobs added, declining deficits and healthcare costs, a recovered auto industry, and a stronger housing market. Challenges include rebuilding the dilapidated infrastructure, providing more support for the middle class, and making investments in education. Another challenge, what Mr. Obama calls the constant cycle of manufactured crises and self-inflicted wounds from Washington. Super Typhoon Haiyan is muscling its way across the central Philippines, having already killed at least 4 people, according to officials. The most powerful storm to hit the Pacific this year. Haiyan has blown off roofs, uprooted trees, down power lines, and caused other destruction while muscling across the region. Officials say at least 7 other persons are injured. Due to a lack of communications, the full extent of the damage and casualties will be unclear for some time. Uganda says the Democratic Republic of Congo's government will sign a peace deal on Monday with rebel group M23, which gave up its fight this week. The U.S. labor market once again added 204,000 jobs in October, defying economists' predictions that last month's partial government shutdown would slow down hiring. Madagascar's Electoral Commission says its presidential election will go to a runoff vote after no candidate received an outright majority in the first round last month. The Olympic torch is taking a slight detour on its trip from Greece to Sochi, Russia, for the 2014 Winter Games. This Saturday, it will spend some time in space. Russian cosmonauts will carry the torch outside the International Space Station as they begin a 6-hour maintenance mission. For all the latest news, visit us at voanews.com 24 hours a day. I'm Vincent Bruce, VOA News, reporting from the VOA News Center in Washington.